Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us for today's live event. We're really glad you could make it. So today we're going to be hearing from Agrilyst. We know you're all very excited to hear about this awesome program, but before we get into that, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Hallie with Upstart University, our online platform for learning to farm. I'll be moderating this Q&A today, so thanks so much for tuning in. As a modern farmer, you're likely the type of person who seeks out new, effective technologies and services to improve your farm. We've heard from a lot of you that you're interested in recommendations for a farm management software that's suited to modern farming. So today, we thought it would be helpful to give you the opportunity to learn and ask questions about Agrilyst. Agrilyst is a web-based software platform that helps indoor farms manage their crops and gain data-driven insights into more profitable production decisions. You can think of it as a virtual agronomist built for the horticultural industry. It's an excellent software built by excellent people, earning it the coveted Disrupt Cup at TechCrunch Disrupt in San Francisco. So now that you have a little background, and before we jump into Q&A, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Allison. So Allison is joining us today. She's Allison Kopf, the founder and CEO of Agrilyst. We're so excited to have her join us, and we figured who else was better than the creator herself to answer your questions. Allison serves on the board of Santa Clara University's Engineering School and Cornell University's Controlled Environment Agriculture program. She's a mentor with #BuiltByGirls and Square Roots Grow. Prior to founding Agrilyst, she helped Bright Farms become one of the leading indoor agriculture companies in the US. Today, she will be answering some of the most common questions we've received. So we'll jump right in, but first, Allison, is there anything you'd like to tell the audience about yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Allison, and I just wanted to say I'm so excited to chat with everybody and hear some of your questions and hopefully answer all those questions. Just by way of background, so you can know a little bit about me and the company and why we got started. I've been in the CEA space for about a decade now, from growing to operations, and started Agrilyst really because I was frustrated, I think like a lot of you might be, that there really weren't tools designed specifically for our operation, or at least flexible enough to let it be specific to our operation. And also that were too clunky and either made for outdoor operations or for sort of the manufacturing industry. And so I started Agrilyst really as a way for indoor farms, especially small indoor farms or new indoor farms, to collect all of their data in one place and then have the tools that they needed at their fingertips anytime, anywhere to help make better decisions. So whether that was automating sort of production planning or getting into task management, full suite of things that we're doing, and I'm happy to talk about all of those things. So just want to let you know that I, like you, have been on the operating side and have been a little bit frustrated that sometimes there aren't the tools you need at your hands. So that's why we got started.
Awesome. Thanks so much for telling us a little bit more about yourself. So we're just going to jump into Q&A. We received some beforehand, and I know there's some common questions you get. So I'll go ahead and switch over the presentation here so that we can have a good chat with you and answer those questions.
Cool.
Okay, so the first one is, I have a control system. Why do I need Agrilyst? Are they the same thing?
Yeah, we get this question a lot because, especially when you're just getting started off, it's hard to discern really what systems you need in place to get going. So our system and control systems are complementary technologies, not competitive technologies. And really what you want when you're thinking about your full system, when you think about control side, think about controlling your vents, your pumps, your lights, any systems that might be able to be controlled, like an on-off switch. Our system is more of production management software. So what are you planting? When are you planting it? How long is it going to be in the system? What's going to happen to it? How do you store the data associated with growth? How do you track losses? How do you track all of those things? And one of the nice things is we'll plug into your control system. So if you should have sensors out in the greenhouse or in the vertical farm, or you have a control system, a full sort of fully fledged control system, or you've even piecemealed some of this together. I know we have a lot of customers who have built their own control systems. We'll try and work with those systems and pull that data in so that you have complete sort of data set in one place.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, let's see what else we've got coming in. So what separates Agrilyst from similar companies and their software?
Yeah, so we don't think that there are a lot of software companies who do things like what we do. A lot of that is because we've built very specifically for you, for indoor sort of small and new beginning farmers that are operating. I think that would be one of the keys. So we don't do sort of pre-planning software. If you were thinking about opening a farm and you wanted to choose your systems, our system won't really help you do that. Really, ours is geared towards, maybe as early as a few weeks before you start planting to when you're actually planting. Really, where we differentiate ourselves from software that would come from the control side is that, again, it's complete business software. So think of us as really the suite of software you would use to run the business. Your production planning, your task management. And then on top of that, it's really about intelligence. So we have an API that will connect to any other type of hardware, potentially other software components as well, should you have accounting software or something like that. So we don't want to be necessarily the only thing you use, but we want to be the thing that you're using every single day to manage your business better. And then anything else you're using can hopefully tie into that so you get a really complete operational software package.
Awesome. That actually ties in really well to a question we just received. Let's see who it was from.
Cool.
From Paul. Okay, so he's wondering, does your software allow for data from sensors to be fed in automatically? And then does it make decisions and changes based on those decisions when alerts are sent based on certain thresholds?
Yeah, that's a great question, Paul. So we have an open API. What that just broadly means is that we've built a way that devices can connect to the software, and we leave all of that code available to anyone. So once you actually sign up for the system, right in settings, you'll have access to our, what we call the API key. It's what unlocks sort of connecting devices together, and all of the instructions on how to do that. So in theory, you could actually play with pretty much anything. We also will do all the setup for you if you want. So yes, it will connect automatically to most sensors, as long as, and I'll put a stipulation here, as long as that sensor has a digital output of some sort. So Priva, your Argus, your Wadsworth, your Link 4, we're working now with Lacrosse, which is a smaller sort of one-off sensor and that some of our growers are using. Anything that pulls data off in a digital way and stores it somewhere, we can pull real-time automatically. If it's something more like a handheld sensor, maybe a pH pen or something along those lines that doesn't tie in anywhere digitally, unfortunately, that still doesn't have a way to connect automatically. So it has to have that digital output. And then as far as automating sort of control back to the system, we don't do that. We don't do that intentionally. We've heard from a lot of our customers and a lot of growers that really they want the endpoint control, at least while they're getting started, and really want to be able to control things the way that they want. We are, though, adding recommendations all the time, as well as alerts and things. So you could set up alerts in our system, and you could eventually we'll release recommendations as well. But as far as the control side, we want to make sure that you're controlling your device, and also it's hard to maintain. If a control system ends up changing anything on their end, it'll actually break the control. So we don't want to screw up anything on your control side, which is in theory the most important part of your vertical farm or greenhouse. So we want to make sure that you still maintain that control.
Awesome. We have a comment back from Paul. He says, I'm an IT guy, very interested in automation, so happy to see you have open APIs. And he'd be interested in incorporating robotics at some point and AR systems.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So the theory is hopefully that API just gets stronger, Paul, as we go in, as more and more farmers. I mean, we consistently see that growers are tinkerers, right? And so they're starting to add different components, and we want to make sure that we can connect to any of those things. So that'll even get improved. And if there's ideas, Paul, if you have specific systems or devices that you're using and you want them to connect, just give me a shout. My email's right up on the screen. We're consistently working with growers to add new things to that list. So I would just say I would encourage you to let us know what you want to do.
Awesome. Okay, we have another question here from John, and this actually matches some of the questions I got before this too, but what kind of reporting and alerts are available through Agrilyst? And are there any alerts maybe on mobile devices as well?
Yeah, two great questions, John. I'll actually start with the second one. So our system is in the cloud. It's web-based software. So any device that you have that has access to the internet can use Agrilyst, albeit we don't have a native app. So I think sometimes folks want to know, if it's a native app or if I just log in the web. We wanted to make it as easy as possible, understanding that not everyone has specific devices and that not everyone necessarily has the best internet all over the place. So we wanted to make it as universal as possible. So anywhere you have Wi-Fi, cell service, or internet, you can access Agrilyst just from the website. So I'll say that first. And then second, on the types of reporting, if you think about all the functionality of our software, we store data related to everything from seed to harvest. So growth cycles and yields and varietal performance and all of that sort of crop specific data. We store operational data, so you can customize what we call key performance indicators. So anything that's operational that may have a text or numeric data field. So we have growers storing data related to quality of crops or bug counts for IPM or labor hours, anything operational. And then optimization data. So the reports really encompass all of those three things. Examples of insights that we provide, you can overlay pH and yield. You can overlay your lighting data and yield if you have that hooked up. You can look at space performance and how you're optimizing your space over time or using your space over time. You can look at top performing batches on a normalized yield basis. So pretty much anything that touches any operational procedure or crop related thing, you can overlay and look at visually in our system. And again, that list of insights is actually growing over time. So I think to date we have about 18 or 19 pre-built insights in the system that you can choose from and customize. And that list grows all the time. So again, same answer, John. If there's something you want to look at and you don't see it right away, we always encourage you to let us know, and we can dig into how we can visualize or report on things in a more detailed way.
Great. So JP's wondering, is the data that you're speaking about being available for reporting, is that available in all price points of the software?
Yeah, the only limitation on the price points is, I'll go through our price points actually. So we have 3 price points. We have a sort of hobbyist level that's $50 a month. And for that package, it's really more about production management. So it doesn't have the full analytics suite to it. That would really be for folks who aren't really operationally commercial yet, or haven't really scaled up to a full degree. We have a small farmers package, and that package is $250 a month and has the full analytics suite. It's the only limitation is certain insights that require or offer more than one data point. So if you're looking at yield, for example, you can separate yield. You can look at yield for every variety. You can look at yield per zone, but not necessarily yield over top of light levels or something along those lines. And the reason is mostly that tier doesn't often have control systems tied into the platform. And then that large tier has the sort of full suite. What I would encourage JP though is let us know what you're doing and what you're trying to look at, and if there's ways we can turn certain things, on or off or customize things. Sometimes we'll do that depending on certain operations. We tried to make it so that you could upgrade or downgrade based on really what you needed, based on the type of operation that you have and the size of the farm.
Awesome. So it looks like we're getting some questions about, one, is this available everywhere, which it sounds like it is because it's all internet-based. But would this be useful in an Indian agricultural market or other international markets?
Yeah, so we're available in pretty much every country at this point. We have customers in Canada, South America, as far away as Sri Lanka even. So different folks are using it for various types of operations. So I would say, you know, probably, albeit I don't know your operation. So if you wanted to find out, I'd say, again, I know this is repetitive, but, you know, shoot me an email, give me a call, and I'm happy to walk through what your operation looks like and see if we would recommend it or not. We definitely have folks sort of all over the world using the system.
Nice. Great to hear. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the operational uses and some of the monitoring stuff. Does this help on the sales end at all, or with some of the you know, business and marketing side of things?
Yeah, so one of our most helpful insights, I guess, is actually right in your dashboard. We start off with showing you a 30-day yield forecast, and that yield forecast is built on understanding your historical data and historical yield as it goes. It's also based on a learning mechanism. And so if you guys have heard a lot of the buzzwords in the industry, machine learning is probably one of the big ones, but one of the nice things about a learning algorithm is you can train it over time. And so if you think about some of the limitations of Excel for yield forecasting, you're not really training anything. You're just sort of looking at your pattern and seeing how it's developing over time. So you lose a lot of that accuracy when it comes to seasonality or different changes from a sales perspective. So the algorithm, one of the nice things about having all your data in one place is it can forecast really, really accurately year round because it's being trained on different things. So whether it's climate or seasonality or yield. And what we've seen on that was about a 90% accuracy 30 days out. And we're working on improving that always and getting that longer term so that you could do 6-month or annual planning as well. But it is real time, it is accurate. So we do focus on forecasting from a sales perspective, which always helps. You can also forecast into revenue or harvest units, which is nice. So you can get that forecast in weight or sales. As far as the invoicing and sort of post-harvest side of things, we don't do that yet. Although that is one of the areas that we're pretty focused on over the next few months, is how we can actually help farmers better understand their sales demand coming in and match that up to production planning, and do things like sales reconciliation or tying into maybe invoicing software or QuickBooks or something like that. So that is coming on the sort of post-sale side and sales data side. We don't do invoicing or anything like that, though.
Nice. Good to know. Okay, so you just talked about projecting your crops and your yields. What about automating crop scheduling?
Yeah, so that's one of the big features that we started with. And so the way that you'll do production planning in our software is everything can be created via a template. So you can store templates for each of the crop varieties that you're growing. You can specify your growth cycles in there. You can specify crop movements from one zone to another or changes of units. We have a lot of growers who change from cells or plug sites into different trays or rafts. So you can monitor all of that via templates, and then you can actually create schedules for all of those templates throughout the year. So you can build seasonal templates, you can build just annual templates, whatever makes the most sense for you. So that all of your tasks and all of the future things related to that crop become automatic, so that you don't have to worry if you are out of the office or out of the farm one day and somebody else is running operations. Everything is sort of set up and ready to go, and you know what you've got to do.
Perfect. Okay. Oh, looks like we have some that we got beforehand, so I'll switch to those. How compatible is Agrilyst with hardware and software applications that I might already have on my computer?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, any type of hardware that you have that stores data digitally, broadly speaking, should be able to plug into the system. So natively, we're compatible with Priva control systems, Wadsworth control systems, Link 4 control systems, lacrosse sensors, We're actively working on AutoGrow, Argus, and some other, and a few other control system side of things, Hogendor and Hortimax. So that pretty much the full suite of control systems. And then also nutrient dosing. So we have growers with Blue Lab works natively, certain devices. We're testing on a few other different nutrient dosing systems so that we can make sure that your pH and EC and DO get in there automatically. And then on the software side, that's something we're completely open to, actually. We don't have too many customers who have other suites of software, but we are always trying to connect with other things. So again, I mentioned sort of QuickBooks would be one that we're working on, other accounting software, and then sales side is probably something we would work on at some point. But we're completely open. So if you have software that you're using that you like and you want to connect with, we would always say just reach out and let us know, because that's something that we'd love to connect with, but don't have too many people using other components of software.
Very cool. So for the folks that are looking at using some of those API features, we just got a question from Steve. He says, is there any documentation available for current API features? For example, is there an existing interface to receive data via MQTT?
Yeah, sure. Getting real technical here. No, it's so all of our documentation is actually online. So if you go into our website and sign up for the free trial, there's a login button on the upper right-hand side. If you do that and mention settings, it's a little cogwheel in the upper right next to your name. There's a category for API that has all of the documentation in there. So the current version of documentation.
Great, thank you. We have a lot.
That's a lot of steps, but it's just right in the settings tab of the trial or your full account. That's where the documentation lives.
Great. We have a lot of former IT people coming farmers. So
we see that too. I mean, a lot of the farmers we work with, as I mentioned, everybody that we work with is pretty much tinkerers. So it's something that we definitely want to, we always strive to be API first. So if there's something you're doing and you like it, we don't want to change that, and we don't want to impose ourselves on that. We'd rather just connect to it. So yeah, the documentation's up there. The API key will be up there. And if you have any trouble connecting or you want to explore different connections, definitely reach out to us. We're happy to talk through what we can and can't do, but what's coming next, and start thinking about new connections.
That's great. All right, we'll switch gears here a little bit. Can you confirm that Agrilyst works with indoor, outdoor, NFT, DWC, media beds, basically? What all production methods does this work for?
Yeah, so it's geared towards indoor, indoor being anything that is relatively controllable. So as long as you are in as much as essentially a hoop house, that's really what it's geared for, but it's actually more geared towards the growing method. So I can definitely confirm that it works for NFT, DWC, aquaponics, hydroponics, aeroponics, vertical systems, horizontal systems. We've got growers as small as a few hundred or a few thousand square feet, as big as 10 plus acres. So size doesn't really matter. Really what it's geared towards is if you have a repeatable process from a growth cycle perspective, and you have some nutrient and climate data that you want to store, this should cover all your bases. So that should give you, I mean, it's pretty general, but we also have growers who are doing partial indoor, partial outdoor. So we do have some hybrid systems. Again, if you're looking to figure out if this might work for you, we'll tend to be pretty transparent and honest, and hopefully not steer you down a wrong direction. So if you want to reach out and let us know about your operation, we're happy to do sort of an audit and see if it'll help.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys have really great support. That was going to be one of the later questions, but this might be a good time to fill that in because we're getting a lot of questions that kind of apply to that. What's support like from Agrilyst? Is it, on an ongoing basis? Yeah. What does that look like?
Yeah, so we pride ourselves on being available and being hopefully supportive throughout the whole process if you should want it. So you'll see when you even just go to our website and start a trial, there's a purple support button at the bottom, on the bottom right of your screen. That goes directly to our team. Our team is small, like most of you guys. We're 6 people, and about half of that is focused on support and half of that is focused on dev. So hopefully between us, we can answer your questions really quickly. We tend to have average turnaround time of questions within a few hours, and then on features generally within a few days to a few weeks, depending on what it looks like. From a support perspective, and this is a big question, I think a lot of times when you start with software, with new software especially, it's hard to learn, and really complex software could be great, but if it doesn't help you right away, it's really a loss of your money. So when you start with Agrilyst and you sign up for a subscription, we have a dedicated customer success person whose job it is to find you return on your investment as fast as possible. And so she will right away schedule sort of your first training session. And what we schedule, and this is a flexible schedule, is essentially a 2-week training process where over between 1 and essentially 3 calls, we will get you to a point where you're using it consistently every day and you're seeing that value. And that can be stretched out, it can be shrunk. We have some people who are tech savvy and want to do it in a call. We have some people who want to be training for a few weeks. So that's really up to you. We can structure it around your time and your availability and your desires. And then on an ongoing basis, we're always here. So we really encourage, if you talk to any of our customers, we really encourage people to come to us with ideas of things they really have dreamt about building, and treat our team like your team. So we like that and we want that and we encourage it. So we try to be there anytime, and we try and be available for support, whether it's about the software or about farming in general or about financing. We have a lot of people call us about how to get financing. So really anything that we can be helpful on, we really want to be there for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, we found that you guys have been really awesome with support. So we're glad to hear that. And as a small team, we definitely feel like we get the values you guys have, and we're pretty confident to tell everyone that they can trust the support they'll receive and find it pretty enjoyable. So good stuff there for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like we just got another question in here. I'm probably going to mispronounce this name, so I'm so sorry. Mahimana says, is there a limit on the number of sensors the software can connect to? And do you have software to control hardware, or is it just getting the data?
Yeah. So we don't have a limit on sensors. So any sensors you have will connect to any of them. We don't charge on any of that connectivity. So so you can put in as much as you'd like and connect to as much as you'd like. Just a fun fact, we also don't charge based on users. I think a lot of folks charge based on users, but you can have as many people from your team logging into the system as you'd like. And as far as software to control hardware, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, we don't do any controls back to devices, so it's really just about the analytics and the insights from the data. So we pull data, but we don't push anything back to your control systems.
Perfect. Okay, so switching back to more production-based questions, JP is wondering, are there estimated production volumes available for microgreens, vertically grown greens, fruiting crops, maybe even hops? So I guess what all crops do you guys have information for?
Yeah, so we don't actually have like pre-built templates for different crops and yield expectations. The reason being, and this may be a question of folks, is about data security and how your data gets used. So we treat every farm as its own farm, and you own your data. And so we don't actually push out a lot of that data. What we will collect, and we've done this before with our annual State of the Industry survey. If you haven't seen last year's, it's on our site for free, agrilyst.com/state of indoor farming, where we push out a lot of data, but that was voluntarily given to us by growers. And we'll be coming out with this year's survey with more yield data for a wide variety of crops. We will get to a point in the future where we have enough data where it really truly is anonymous, and we'll start putting out guides to growing and templates for growth cycles and yield data. But as far as sharing grower data, we don't feel confident sharing data yet, because it's a big trust factor for us with our customers.
Sure thing. That's great. Okay, let's see what else we're getting here. Sorry, just looking through some of the questions that were posted in advance. just got to the data question, so took care of that. If you guys have questions, feel free to post them here in the chat. We'll probably wrap up the Q&A here soon, so we'll try to squeeze in just a few more. Okay, so we have another question here. I'm not sure I fully understand it, but I will read it and see if you do. Are there any resources available that analyze aggregate data in relation to specific crops and or varieties in different climates? And then are there settings with projected DTM and expected harvest rates?
Yeah, so it's sort of similar question, actually. So I'll just dig into this a little bit more so that you can get a full understanding. So when we mention the templates for crop production, it's all user generated for now. So you'll actually put in your expected growth time, and then the yield will actually start to build once you enter your harvest data. And so that's going to get smarter over time, and that's going to build itself. So you don't have to do user generated yield data. It's really just the growth time. The aggregate data, as I mentioned, sort of we will analyze the aggregate data, and we will start to put out things like reports on geographic sort of yield rates and what we can expect for different crops. That's really more of a helpful guide to growers, especially as you're getting started. But we won't do that until the data is truly anonymous and aggregate. And so we're working on sort of just continuing to build the sort of data set for now, and having growers almost opt into this system. So we do that in a few different resources that we have published. That's State of Indoor Farming. Again, it's agrilyst.com/state of indoor farming, if I'm correct. And that's just a free report. It's 64 pages, I think, so you can download that. It's got a whole bunch of data on yield, on sort of growth time, on financial information, so prices that folks are getting per pound. So you can pull a lot of that data there. That was all voluntarily given to us via our annual survey that we do. So it's all anonymous, all aggregate data. We'll be publishing a more detailed survey, the survey results. Some of you may have even participated. We're just processing all the data right now. So we'll be putting that out in August. Look for that probably 3rd or 4th week of August is when we'll get to finishing that. And then as far as other aggregate resources that there are, I think a lot of the challenges are actually in that question that you mentioned. So things just change geographically or system-wise. So it's really hard to get a really good guide of aggregate data, depending on what system you're growing or crop or region. But we do work with some of the universities from around the US to collect sort of R&D data as well. So hopefully we can get enough data from production, from voluntary sort of information, and then from R&D from whether it's industry or universities, so that we can get really good guides back to folks sooner rather than later.
Yeah, somebody Ethan asked about if you might integrate data from the USDA or other sources to get into that. So that sounds like it.
So we're working a lot. So what you can expect from us, actually, is probably a good question. What you can expect from fun new things that are coming over the next few months related to data specifically. One is going to be a big focus on third-party integration of data. So whether it's the USDA or regional energy information or energy pricing information or sales pricing information and sales demand, all of that kind of data that could be really beneficial to growers. That's going to be a big focus of ours over the next few months. And then also imaging data. So one of the things we'll offer growers soon over the next few months is if you want to put up cameras in your farm and you want to process that data, we'll be doing growth rate predictions and quality metrics and some fun things with imaging that we're working on this summer. So so there's a lot of data stuff coming. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I think
really big playground for us. So if there's more things that we can be doing and you have ideas, we'd love to be doing it. But data's our baby, so to say. So so we want to be as helpful as possible.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we're just about to wrap up Q&A. Do you want to explain how people can get started if they decide this is something they want to pursue?
Yeah. So if you're interested in using Agrilyst, we're doing a few different promotions for the Upstart community. So if you go to agrilyst.com, which is the easiest way to sign up, there will be a sign up button on the upper right-hand side. When you go through and sign up, what we would say is as soon as you do, just type into the support button that you came from this webinar, and you can get 20% off an annual subscription or 1 month free. And we'll also offer a third thing, which is if you sign up for 1 tier, we'll actually give you access to all the features of the higher tier for 3 months. So, so you can play around, and I know that was a question earlier, which is why I just added that, so that you can play around with some of the bigger firm features to see if that's something that you want as well. So all I would say is just go to agrilyst.com, click sign up for the tier that makes sense for you, and then just shoot us a note in the purple support button, or to my email directly that says you came from here, and we'll refund you a month or get you 20% off an annual subscription.
Awesome. Thank you so much for offering that to the audience. I know a lot of people are really eager to give this a try, and I think that's a great way to make it accessible to everyone and see if it's a good fit for them. So thank you again for offering that to the audience.
Yeah, of course. And by the way, if you're not sure that this is for you, or you think the cost is prohibitive, or you're really sitting there and saying, look, I'm interested, but I don't know, what I would recommend is reach out to us, get on for the free month, and sign up for a subscription. But we'll do a full audit with you once you sign up. So we'll make sure that it's the right platform for you. We'll make sure that we get everything set up correctly. As I mentioned, we have somebody who does the training that's fully included. So we'll work really hard on our end to make sure that you're getting value out of it. Or also, if it's not the right thing for you, we'll be totally honest and transparent and recommend maybe something else that might work. So so we only want you on if it's going to be helpful and useful and you get value out of it. So don't hesitate to just shoot me an email or a support ticket and say, hey, I'm thinking about this, like get me there and let me know if it's right.
I'll go ahead and pop that slide back up with your contact info so
everyone
can see
that's
that
my direct email. So.
And I posted it in the chat there as well. So yeah, if you guys want to reach out, use the chat support button that's available or contact Allison directly. And it looks like that is popping up now. Okay, cool. Cool, thanks for that instruction. That's really cool. Okay, well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Thank you guys so much again for joining us. Lots of people signed in from all over the place, so that's always really great to see. And we're thrilled that people were asking questions, both beforehand and during this, so that's great. If you're wondering, we do plan on having a recording, assuming all went as planned. So keep an eye out for a recording and possibly just kind of a follow-up summary of what we talked about today, probably on the Upstart University blog. So in the meantime, we hope you all have an awesome afternoon. I'd just like to remind everyone, this was brought to you by Upstart University and Agrilyst. We really appreciate it. Feel free to check us out at upstartuniversity.net for online farm training, if that's something you're interested in. And of course, Agrilyst at agrilyst.com. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks for everyone for joining.
Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.